Hello, welcome to the South Africa Brief podcast. My name is Jonathan Mokes. As ever, I'm joined by my co-host and colleague Paul Berkowitz, and this podcast is brought to you with the support of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom. Hello, Paul.
Good morning, Jonathan. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. We are here today with our fifth and last installment in the local government election series, and today we're going to be looking at fantasy politics is what I'm calling it. Fantasy politics. We're looking at alternate scenarios, different permutations, and not just who might win what, but what's the result afterwards. What coalitions could that lead to? What kind of stability or instability? And we're joined by a very special guest to help us unpack that.
Yeah, a very, very special guest. So yes, as mentioned, this is the final installment in the series. There is, as ever, a companion article piece on the South Africa Brief Substack. But today we're going to look at what the future has in store for us after the local government election on the 4th of November. And we are very, very privileged to have with us Qaanitah Hunter. Thank you for joining us. Qaanitah is an award-winning editor, author, political journalist. She's the founder of a very exciting startup, the Debrief Network, an independent online media company. You're a freelance journalist. You write for domestic, report for international publications, and I believe you've also written a fiction novel.
That's my true calling, and now you're forcing me to talk politics.
Everybody has a failed poet of some kind, or a frustrated poet.
But yeah, Qaanitah, thank you very, very much for joining us. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's a really cool initiative. I'm excited for the series.
Great. Paul, do you want to get cracking?
All right. Okay. So, as I said, we want to let our imaginations run wild today. For some of us, that's not hard. Some of us, our imaginations are barely leashed at the best of times. We want to prognosticate and kind of pretend we know, or we might know what's going to go on, but we don't, because there's been very few polls. I think the last poll we had was via the Social Research Foundation in March. We don't have a lot of public data to go on. So we'll finesse the issue like we always do and come up with all these different scenarios and edge cases and hopefully cover everything. Okay, so let's start with our first scenario, Qaanitah. We know that according to the polls, ANC and the DA are running more or less neck and neck, with the DA probably ahead in some of the key metros. But let's pretend that we got a best case scenario for the ANC, that they close the gap, maybe they end up ahead of the DA in certain metros and municipalities. Okay, so firstly, let's set the scene. Let's very briefly say what conditions would lead the scenario to be more probable. What kind of tailwinds would you expect the ANC to be gaining in order to be in this much more comfortable position? And okay, don't use me as a reference point. So let your imagination run as wild as you normally would.
Yeah. So I want to start with this massive caveat, and you can be free to chuck me out of the studio once I say it. It actually doesn't matter too much. There's never been an election where party outcome plays that much of a role. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think local government has deteriorated to such an extent that the outcome of parties, so if the ANC kind of holds on to Polokwane, but like loses a little bit in Mangaung, but dramatically drops in Joburg, I think what you have outside of the electoral outcome is a massive note, right? And I don't think this time electoral politics can do much to reverse the situation. So it's important, people must go out to vote. The vote's going to be important. I'm not one of those people that say nothing's going to change. What I'm saying is that we have, I think we can confidently say that the mechanism, the architecture of local government is, I'm not going to swear, I promise, but it is completely and utterly broken, right? So you had the ANC supporters jump to the DA.
Yeah.
So we've had a cycle of political adventurism in the average voter, right? So some of us have lived under DA leadership. Some of us have lived also under ANC leadership. It has created a situation where ordinary South Africans are saying they are all the same. Because even if I am a diehard EFF supporter, right? The EFF is in government.
Yes.
In many municipalities. In Rustenburg, they're there. They hold the treasury in Gauteng.
Yes,
right?
GPU. Yeah.
Ekurhuleni, they were there, right? So what I'm saying is that you have this unique situation where parties, Action SA, EFF, everyone has given, even Rise Mzansi to some degree, has been given a chance at auditioning. And the electorate is looking at all of this and saying, "Nee toch," right? So then comes to your question. So I just wanted to build that caveat into
that's
it.
a very.
I mean, we could wrap up now.
Done. The system is broken.
No, but I have. We talk about fantasy.
Yes.
Like I have. I've come prepared with what that what fixing the system looks like.
Great.
But for the ANC, I think that. So few things. As we speak, it's about 100 days before election, right? We have never seen an ANC campaign so lackluster, because the one thing the ANC has always been able to do is it's always been able. I mean, Jonathan, you know this. They pull their shit together when it's an election.
Yeah.
We're not kind of seeing that energy
Not at
now,
all, no.
right? One. Two, it's this fantastical thing of let's go and find the best amongst us, and let's find pretty faces that we can front, because it's fronting. So we'll find a Frank Chikane to go up in Joburg. But remember, this modus operandi has been in place for a long time. Remember, they tried to get Toko Didiza for Tshwane, and then they lost Tshwane. And then they tried to do this with shame, with Reverend Morane in Mfuleni. Mfuleni is like 100 times worse than when he, So this front, so that's the sum of the ANC's imagination, right? We're gonna try to, because what can you promise in this election campaign? You can't really. There's no money, right? There's no money. So you honestly can't, because I listen to someone like Helen Ziller, and if Helen Ziller, who has all the ammunition you possibly need in a campaign, is saying, guys, I don't know if I can fix this in 5 years. It tells you that if you go to, like, I don't know, Maluto Upperfong or whatever, what are you gonna? Well, what are you working with here, right? So also, the extraction networks, communities fully understand so that modus operandi of how extraction networks worked in governments. In municipalities rather, is that you buy patronage.
Yes.
You know. I think communities have seen through that so clearly, in the sense that the lack of dignity that comes with no water, that comes and you kind of know that you don't have water because there's a water mafia that breaks the taps, and So I think this election, and you guys can tell me if I'm wildly wrong, but I do think that that prism of how we approach party politics, or the spectacle of political party competition, I think it's a little broken. I think that archetype is broken, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think I don't think you are wrong at all, and I think in some of these conversations that we've been having, a lot of people are also sort of saying, well, it doesn't really matter what the election results are on the 4th of November. It obviously depends on the coalition negotiations, and now you've put the point in, whatever the coalition end game is, there's still going to be a mess that's very, very difficult to fix. I think you've made a very interesting point that there's now a really, really big political establishment, which now includes parties like the EFF. I suppose the one party that's still outside the establishment is MK, and it'll be interesting to see what that impact is. But are you also sort of saying, one of the things I've been thinking about, turnout is dropping election after election, local election, national election. I think that we're going to have a very low turnout election this year, which is also not helped by the fact that there's very little campaigning going on. The ANC have been lackluster. The only party at the time of recording that seems to be campaigning really is the DA.
And that involves jumping into puddles at every opportunity.
But you know, they've had posters up ahead of registration weekend. But if you say, for example, have 30% of the Johannesburg population turning out to vote for a new government, whatever that government may be, is that a legitimacy problem?
And so the thing is, Jonathan, is that what? So you need a change of politics, right? So the outcome, and that's you have to enthuse voters who are not voting. That's the only solution. So if you think about Joburg, right? You need 1 million people to vote, right? Helen Zille needs 1 million people to vote, and then she's sharp, right? That's not going to come from the people who kind of vote, because the ANC people who voted ANC the last time are very unlikely going to show up to vote for the DA. They're more likely to not show up.
Yes.
Or then vote for MK second choice, maybe.
Maybe in KZN, maybe not in a Gauteng scenario. But what I'm saying to you is that the effective change of politics has come through enthusing voters.
Yes.
All right? I don't know how much of the current establishment in terms of who's running in the different areas can have that capacity to reimagine. Because to the average young South African, they are all the same. So what you're going to have is permutations that are going to be like, the ANC clings on to here with making friends there, and you know, the EFF makes a deal with this one there, and so it's not, what you're not going to have is a seismic event that sort of shakes up local government. The DA may do well, the ANC may decline, but it's not going to be this thing that essentially changes and brings that stability. And I think that there are boring reasons for that. One, when we had the first iteration of coalitions in 2016, we had to understand that there was legislative reform that was needed.
Yes.
And we didn't do bugger all about
Nothing.
it.
No. Yeah.
Right? So me and my 1% party is going to determine who's the mayor of the biggest metro in the country.
Yeah.
With 10,000 votes.
You get 2 mayors for 10,000.
For 10,000 votes, I can get, right?
Buy
And
one,
then I
get one
can,
free.
yes, I can still have an MMC. What you get my point. I like the fact that no political party forced that conversation around legislative reform around just coalitions. Let's just start at coalitions, right? Is that it's a deeply undemocratic outcome if you think about it. Some people disagree with me, but you know, on the issue of thresholds, and I'm fine. Disagree with me. Let's fight it out, right? But the point is that if we have 10 years of this, we've been on this train for 10 years. There is a direct correlation in political instability to bureaucratic deterioration. Don't tell me otherwise.
Okay.
Pick a municipality, right? So the boring bits of it is, at what point do you say, hey, Banna, let's this coalition, if coalitions are here to stay, if people are not going to give parties outright majorities, what do you need to do to reform this thing, right? And there's a lot in local government. Thresholds is just one part of it, right? So that's what worries me.
And the threshold's is not in the current bill. The threshold's no
No.
longer on the table.
It was
So
too
that's gone.
unpopular. It was on the table and then it ran away. But
Yeah.
I'm saying that current bill is going to take a long time
Yeah,
for it
it's
to
not
get.
gonna come.
It's not
It
going to
won't
come
be ready
in.
before election.
Yeah.
Not even in the next term, I think, right, of local government. So you have that problem, right? Then you have this other problem, which is the complete unviability of the municipal structure,
Yes.
right? So you're fighting for political power to lead an entity of government that makes no sense. Absolute no sense. Are you looking at me like...
I would like an elaboration, please.
Okay. Funding models. If this was a company, there's 250. If 257 municipalities were companies, 2/3 of it would be completely shut down, unviable,
Yeah.
bankrupt.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right? Second, the way the municipal, Jonathan, you may know this more, which is the law that governs it, the 2000, what, Municipal
Systems Act?
Systems Act.
Yeah.
Mispronounced Jonathan.
Sorry. But the point is that I think that we're now flirting, because we have so much of dysfunction. I think that we, especially us in the chattering class, is that if we keep making it about neck and neck politics and personality politics,
yeah.
you're going to have a worse outcome, which is a frustration with the system of which we are part of as the chattering.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
all of you must go.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I'm saying there's something there's something completely unviable when you look at how municipalities are structured in essence. Then comes the financing of it, which makes zero sense. Right? Then comes your other problems, right? Which is your electricity, your ESCOM debt. So now if I'm campaigning for Joburg, right? I can't really say that I'm going to improve the streetlights or like give me an issue. Like I can't promise too much. I can lie, yes, but realistically, if I open that budget, and I maybe just look at the budget from the time Mashaba was mayor till now, the last 10 years, there's not much to play with. So because it was unviable. And then it was compounded by inefficiency and corruption and all of those things, right? So what I'm saying is the conversations is we can't ask candidates, like, how are you going to change the situation in Mangaung, right? We have to say, what are you going to do to bolster public-private partnerships? Now, I can tell you, of that candidate list, there's very few that's going to be able to do that. We have to sit with mayoral candidates and say, Sisi, what do you think about ring fencing electricity income for ESCOM? Those are like fundamental questions. Where are you going to maintain your water infrastructure from? Like, your revenue is an unviable balance sheet there. Your money paid for services by a small shrinking tax base is paying your salaries and doing very little else. What are you going to do about that?
And that should be a basis on which also coalitions are discussed and contracted, actually.
I'm feeling
Which they're
put
not.
out, yeah. I thought we were going to play fantasy politics, and we're actually we're talking real world issues.
We're talking real world issues, but I think it's just such an important caution to sort of all of us, because the system is not good. I mean, we've been, so Qaanitah, in a lot of the discussions, so we have been sort of prognosticating and looking at all sorts of political scenarios and the case, and I think the conclusion really is, we had Davy Skoltz a couple of episodes ago with his models. It's just going to be absolute chaos after the 4th of November across the country.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, I mean, South Africa is coalition country, it's coalition chaos.
Yeah. And so what we've seen is that in the municipalities that we pay attention to, right, Joburgs and whatever, there's some sort of coherence. Just go out of urban centre.
That's the point Paul makes often with your audit assessments as well.
Qaanitah makes a good point that 2/3 are unviable. And we know that there are white papers that are looking at a total overhaul of the financial system. But I'd argue, Qaanitah, that in Joburg, the solutions are not as far away as we pretend. We've got a mayor and a city manager who act brand new all the time and act as if financial ring fencing is this very difficult problem that has to be tackled, like translating the Odyssey into English. But it's not, ring fencing is not difficult. Capping the staff complement. We're not even talking about the promises to SAMU of a 10.3 billion phase in. We're talking about the under-the-radar articles over the last couple of weeks where the ANC-led coalition is now finding funds all of a sudden for a couple of hundred new senior managers in the municipality. The wage bill across the metros ranges from 20 to 30% of operating expenditure, but in Joburg it's creeping up to 30% and beyond. Fixing the billing system, we know it's complicated, we know it's been a mess since 2000, but mostly ANC-led administrations have had 25 years, they've had 5 cycles to fix it. So now we are left with the problem. Yes, I agree. Let's be realistic. It's going to take us more than one term to fix Joburg.
No, I don't even think it's one term. I think that the solution for local government doesn't sit in local government.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if that makes sense. Like, do you know the solution to the electricity problem did not sit at Eskom. It came.
Yes, sure.
So that's what I'm saying.
So what needs to be done? And who needs to be doing it?
Shall we play fantasy? This is where we play fantasy.
This is where we play fantasy.
Let's not get caught up, like some of us, in the numbers and the permutations and the Shapley values and the game theory. Yeah.
I'm not saying, Paul, that's it's not like the election outcomes are important. I'm saying it's anyone's guess.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, the pizza is going to be cut up into 8 slices here, or 14 slices here, or 52 slices.
Yeah.
Right.
There's going to be lots of slices across the country.
Yes.
So maybe I should be asking better questions. So,
but let's. I mean, I think you are asking the right questions. But I mean, let's go. But let's say
we agree with Qaanitah, because we do. It's not a hypothetical premise. We agree
of
that
course we do.
that the horse racing and the numbers are the pageantry in the theatre, and we get excited. But then you got to wake up and have a working government.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe pare down all these numbers in fantasy footballs. One thing you've mentioned, one thing we all agree on, Qaanitah, is that turnout's probably going to be low.
Yeah.
The electorate is frustrated and disillusioned, and you quite rightly point out they don't see a difference. 6 nor 9, as we say in the classics. Do you think there's a growing probability then, and we won't talk exact numbers, that with a low turnout, we are going to see much more of a fracturing of the vote, so that if turnout falls, a 1% party can become a 2.5% party.
Yeah.
A 2.5% party could become a 5% party.
100%. And so what you're gonna have is the hyper fragmentation of politics. 1, 2 is that you are in the absence of big man politics. Remember the ANC. It's like, remember 2016. It was a vote against Zuma.
Yes.
Right. It was, we're voting for Malema. Those big figure politicians, actually their star power has waned. Right. And so then it becomes a little bit of a localized, so that which means then it's the fragmentation in the sense that the same DA strategy that will work in Joburg may not work in Ekurhuleni.
No, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So the 1% party becomes, so what happens is, if you are a fifth largest party, what you're trying to do is, you actually don't want to win elections, because you don't really want to. Nobody wants the headache of governing outright the mess, right? But what you want to do is, you want to have good leverage. Everyone wants to have good leverage. So if you are the EFF, you actually can run municipal finance in a lot of Limpopo municipalities and northwestern. You really could, right? And so it's kind of grab an opportunity here, grab an opportunity there. It's going to be interesting to see what of the GNU translates into local government negotiations.
That's what we want to talk.
You must have read my mind, because actually I mean, let's actually think about the GNU for a moment, but I want to take a step back, because I think there's a big question of what are the implications of the local government election on the GNU, and also how does the GNU translate into local government. But you mentioned that the solution to local government doesn't come from local government. And I think I know where you're going, and I tend to agree with you. So where does it lie? Does it lie in a sort of GNU national government complete rethink?
Yeah.
And could that actually be part, I mean, in a fantasy world where there were sensible, mature people sitting around a table, which sadly is not always the case, could that actually be part, or should that be part of the post-November the 4th discussion?
Yeah, I really thought that you were going to have that sort of that translation. It didn't happen, because if you look at Gauteng, for example, the fact that you have the EFF in coalition now, right? It's quietly, and then you see the situation with the IFP and GA in KZN, right? The ANC in KZN is dead.
Yeah,
Yes,
and they're probably
agreed.
going to be the fourth biggest party in eThekwini.
Yeah.
They've smashed.
It's not looking good, and the alternative is also not looking good, right? So it basically it gives them. It will be interesting once they announce their candidates to say, what do they still have hope on? Which is, it's 8 metros. If you have 3, you're going to be lucky.
Yeah.
And then essentially all the economic hubs of the country is
Gone.
Lost, right? Fine. What was your question?
So my
was
question is the
GNU.
GNU. The GNU, firstly, from a local government, I suppose, policy and implementation. I mean, what could that look like? Should the GNU be sort of thinking about how do we fix local government, and again in a mature fashion, taking that as part of a package into the sort of coalition discussion, so that there's a uniform approach to this across the country, rather than the fragmentation of all sorts of different directions going on.
If you had the GNU already translating on a provincial level, it would have been a better signal that it would work on a municipal level. It doesn't, right?
But as you say, the Gauteng thing.
Because Panyaza's going to Panyaza.
Yeah.
So that doesn't give us a good sign, right? But I do think that the solution of local government has to be like really robust, like visionary thinking to say, guys, we're on we're off the cliff now. It's in all of our interests to just kind of like get this thing in order, right? The problem is that the ANC, as much as it says it's a centralized party, is actually more federalized than the DA is.
Yeah. These days,
Right?
because the centre is not holding.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you still have is that yes, literally House is going to go and impose people, but the local structures are gonna fight and are gonna So there's no way that works in the sense who is going to be the school principal with the stick. You understand?
Especially when a conference is coming up in 2027.
Yeah. And who has the appetite to say, we're pausing everything and we're doing the really, really most politically inconvenient thing, which is we are taking electricity revenues away from this many municipalities. Who's going to do that? Because Ramaphosa will try to save the day somewhat, but it's a politically unpopular. You're going to be fought not from your own party, let alone other parties, because where are you going to get revenue from, right? We all can agree that you cannot pay salaries from money meant to pay for bulk water and for electricity. It's an unviable situation.
It's an unviable situation here, Qaanitah, to say in the adjustment budget in February that we're going to cut 40% of City Power's repairs and maintenance budget to settle historical debt. But here we are.
Yeah. And we can do a small Nyana increase, but actually it being massive, right? If you were middle class in South Africa, you were being choked by electricity prices and rates and taxes, which means if the economy is going the way it's coming, you're 100% the tax base is already screwed.
Yeah.
Even in a city like Cape Town, right? So I'm saying, who is going to be innovative that says, actually, party politics on a local level doesn't count for much right now, because even if you are the DA and you clean sweep, like say you clean sweep, say you get 53% in Joburg, say you get there's uncomfortable things that have to happen on a GNU level.
Yes.
There's like so let me give you the stupid analogy, and you guys can again chase me out of the studio. It's fine.
No, we've.
I think you're safe now.
Yeah, I think
We
you,
like what you're
I think
saying.
I think you assume a level of professionalism and seriousness that doesn't exist here.
So the thing is, right? If you are obese, you have a heart attack, right? What you have to do is you have to sort the heart out. You have to go for surgery. Then you have to change your lifestyle, and you have to lose the weight, right? Getting fit is a different conversation. Going to the gym and getting fit and eating health, you just need. So when you think of municipalities, there used to be a world where you were fat, and the ambition was to become fit. Right? That's where your Western Cape is, that you're not sick, but you're not thriving.
Yes.
You're just kind of fine.
Yeah.
Right? But for majority of the countries, of the municipalities in the country, is that heart attacks have already happened.
Yes.
So you cannot have a plan to fitness approach to you cannot send someone who's just had a heart attack to the gym. You can't do that.
No.
So do you understand? It's a stupid analogy just to make the point that the solution has to be clinical and surgical.
And very technocratic.
Yes. And it's boring.
Yes.
It's boring to say, my guy, water boards, like, do we do a mass dissolution of water boards? Right? You have to have a level of thinking that's going to, and I think it only comes the way the electricity problem came. And I'm not talking about the electricity liberalization debate. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about essentially what you had was business locked government in a room and said, nobody's leaving until this is sorted out.
Yeah, we can't keep having stage 6 now.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was a little bit gangster what business did. Right? So I'm saying the solution is a gangster solution.
Okay.
Technocratically gangster.
Well, that's the headline for this episode. Thank you.
A gangster solution to a fantasy problem. I don't think you have to apologize for the points you make. You made them well, Qaanitah. I think we can agree that there's not one size fits all. Municipalities are on radically different paths. I think we can agree that those municipalities that were fit but are now on their way to heart attacks, like Joburg, that was avoidable.
100%.
You know, we can talk about what the solution is going to be, but I think we can acknowledge that even 5, well, maybe 10 years ago, that you looked at the balance sheet and the income statement of Joburg and you said there's enough money coming in.
It made sense.
Just don't spend 45 million on a Miss World.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Okay, so
No,
that's-
Parks Tau. When you read that balance sheet under Parks Tau, you didn't get it kind of made sense.
it made sense, but streetlights were going off and
Yeah.
repairs and maintenance was like less than 1%.
But it wasn't like, it was like a new adolescent, with a credit card, So it was a bit problematic, but nothing was maxed out. Now,
No.
It's completely maxed out.
yeah,
So we were thinking about we're talking about a silver bullet, we don't know where it's coming from. The Municipal Structures Amendment Act is not going to be passed before the election.
yeah,
Might not have been a silver bullet, might have been a good solution because it's creating this framework, this external framework that says to parties big and small, this is how you play the game.
yeah.
Make one coalition, keep it for 5 years. One vote of no
Yeah.
confidence every
2
year.
Is it every year now?
They said 12 months, but none of this has been voted on, but these were ideas. So what do we do in the absence of this externally imposed, let's call it a commitment advice? Let's keep going with the game theory. And the other thing is the thing we haven't spoken about, we've touched on. We spoke about the national and the local interface, GNU, and what happens. And we've talked about province, but what I want to talk about provincially is not just what happens at this level has a knock-on effect at a sphere down and a sphere up, but provincial governments had a role for years. Provincial governments got many oversight touch points where they can keep a municipality in check, long before you get to putting it under administration. Quarterly looks at the Section 87 reports, water quality reports, and so on and so forth. Do we need to talk about what provincial governments should be doing to help fix or maintain local government, or are we giving them a free pass?
Absolutely nothing. Why? Why is Scopa the one that's unearthing the fact of what you had hackers in Ekurhuleni break down the system? What is Scopa? Do you know how many levels of accountability has to be missed for something to be exposed at Scopa? MPAC has to be. There had to be no municipal. What is it? MPAC Public Accounts Committee.
Most of
Then it was Qaanitah at province, right? It was the Qaanitah committee in provincial legislatures, right? It was the provincial Scopa that missed it, right? It was the minister of Qaanitah that missed it, and then it gets the portfolio committee of Qaanitah, and then accountability is Khadunda. And I'm saying that is for the fact that you had a bunch of hackers sitting outside a building and stealing billions of rands from the, you know what I mean? Like that's the level to which accountability has deteriorated. And that's why I say that when you have the exposés of what's happening in the municipalities, why is the Qaanitah embassy not fired? Right? And this is where I get quite passionate, is that as the minister of Qaanitah, right, I am not making a character assessment against someone like Tlhabisa, right? I think he's a wonderful man. But the person that you put into Qaanitah has to be, it's the same level of crisis of the person you made your electricity minister.
Yeah,
agreed.
Because it's crisis there now.
Yeah.
It's not governance.
Yeah.
There's no governance that's happening.
No.
So you need a specialist doctor there, like Josienso went with a particular mandate. Local government. And that's why I think business is sleeping on this thing, because they get excited when the president says people don't invest in the union buildings, they invest in... The president tells us exactly what we want to hear, exactly the truth of the situation. He doesn't lie, right? Clover shutting down in Lichtenberg. I mean, the fascinating thing, right, at the NGC of the ANC, which was last year, was Ramaphosa kind of saying, hey, it was me that I had to go to Durban, and I had to... And I say, so the Durban situation is interesting, right? Durban, unlike Joburg, was a rapid decline.
Yes.
It was super rapid. It was a 5-year decline,
Under
right?
Gumede.
It was Gumede Kaunda, right? It was quick and dirty, right? And then it was the business chambers that said to Ramaphosa, like this is not it, right? And it helped for a moment that the opposition was weak in eThekwini at the time. So it was actually ANC-esque people saying, fix the thing.
Fix the thing, yeah.
They then send who's the mayor now, Cyril Daba, I think.
Yeah.
They send him from Parliament. But what do? They send Kaunda to Parliament, which means there's no consequence.
Yeah, there's no accountability.
There's no accountability. But it took the president setting up his little presidential what and intervening there to just, again, not to thrive, but just not to have manifest looting, right? It's an unsustainable model for the 200 of the 257 that are falling apart, right? And so the fact that you have the president phoning Dada Morero to say, sort out street lights because G20 is happening, is absurd. It's absurd. But what I'm saying is that the Durban situation taught us 3 particular things. One, leadership matters because it can take 1 or 2 people that can break the system, right? Second is that when there's political will, there can be change. So to your point of Joburg, in the sense that a lot of it is irreversible. When we were saying, hey, Al Jama, are you mad? They were like, no, it's a collective leadership. The mayor, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
It does matter.
It does
Right?
matter.
It does matter.
And the cynical part of me says we got 1, two very green mayors that we can pin many things onto within that financial year, within that budget year, that our hands will look a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
But to go back to and maybe as we wrap up, so let's actually go to the GNU national government level. Let's go back to the gangster methodology. I mean, there needs to be a gangster leadership, decisive intervention that puts people together. I think the point you made earlier on in the episode is that all the main political parties have a lot to lose with this going sort of even worse by not actually getting people, the municipalities, into the ICU before they can even think about getting fit. I don't think, sadly, the maturity at political level exists for people to work together and to come behind supporting a person that can lead the intervention and change the system.
You know what I would do?
What would you do?
Fantasy, yes, that was the question. What is the
This is the final
fix?
point. Of, yeah, this is the
What is the
fix? What would you do? What is the fix? Yeah.
I would make Jordan Hill Lewis Carter minister. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would give him, in the sense that it's both in your interest and in our interest to fix the space, right? And I would give it a timeline. I would mobilize. Business must almost not support local politics on condition that if there's no reform that happens, right? I think the resolution of local government sits in a technocratic approach, a business whipping the crap out of government, and then civil society not being performative.
Yeah.
Can't be performative. There's no grandstanding about Joburg is decline. No. Like, if it means you are going to court every single day on micro things of the budget, you do what you need to do, right? What I'm saying is that there has to be this pressure,
strategic litigation,
whatever it may be, that businesses should take equal responsibility in the decline of Joburg, because what we said, no, don't do your homework, sweetheart. We will fix the lights. Standard Bank will put robots in Rosebank. Not the fix. It's not the fix. So
is the fix like a muddy bank fix? Pay your business rates and taxes into a suspense account.
In a lot of municipalities, it is. I think a lot of municipalities that's going to happen. There's precedence of Medibank, and I think Maluti also had that court judgment where the business forum basically ring-fenced, but I think they tried to do it with refuse collection and it didn't work.
It was refuse collection, yeah.
Was it refuse collection?
It was water in Madibang.
Madibang and refuse collection in Malaysia before. You see, we are nerds. This is what we spend
I
our
love
time.
it. I love it.
Nerd mustache.
But to your point, this is what is needed. I mean, sadly, too many people do think this is boring, but boring is going to fix this country. And quite frankly, we could also all do with a bit of boring going forward.
We could. Qaanitah's talking about the coordination problem. It worked in eThekwini because it was the ANC had the numbers to push things through and the power, right? And the support from province. It's not going to work in the metros because everyone's got a little piece of the pie and no one wants to make a decision that's politically unpopular within their own party.
But I think also, Qaanitah, what you're saying is you also think you basically proposing a national partnership between the ANC and the DA that holds each other very, very accountable with a lot to lose for both.
Yeah.
That translates.
So I'm going to
be,
and that's the outcome of that is going to be determined on whether the DA loses to PA in certain municipalities in the Western Cape, right? And so the pie fragmenting for the DA itself is also going to be an important driver to how this plays out.
Absolutely.
Right. What I'm saying is that We have examples in this country, whether it is the electricity problem. I'm saying it's small. And we use the word green shoots. I hate that word, but what I'm saying is that it's not my solution. It's not my best solution. The Ramaphosa approach of the Bulindlela, it's not my solution. I've criticized him for 9 years on it. But what I'm saying is that if that's what we have, take that whip and apply it to local government. If that's the tool, if that's the best you have, you gotta, and you're not gonna have a local government in Daba. What you're gonna do is you're gonna sit with the AG reports for the last 10 years, and you're gonna say, what district municipality, let it, unviable. No point putting energy there. But actually, Magaliesburg, because actually, it's an economic problem. The task team, whatever, I hate that word, but okay.
Yes, so working title.
It's an economic intervention. Let me tell you, local government doesn't face the consequences of the economic decline. It is an aggravator of the economic decline.
Yeah.
It causes job losses. Local governments, councils are the driver of unemployment.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so we think that local governments are the beneficiary of it. No, darling. You are making the problem. You are manufacturing the unemployment problems. I was in the Northwest yesterday and I'm like, my God, And so what I'm saying to you is that this fixing local government is an economic imperative.
But it's not an economic problem because the solutions are easy. It's a political problem.
It's a political problem.
And it's a
But what I'm
leadership,
saying
and it's a
that,
leadership problem.
And it's a leadership problem.
Yeah.
And I think that the lens to which is to say, we're not fixing local. Actually, it must be rephrased. If the DA and the ANC work together, we're not fixing local government. We're fixing the economy.
Yes, which the DA politically can get behind in a big way.
Mm.
So on that note, Qaanitah, thank you so much. I think that's been an incredible conversation.
Yes.
Paul, we'll have to do the fantasy politics
We didn't play as
another
much
time.
politics. Unfortunately, Qaanitah is too smart for us. She cut through the pageantry, as I said, but we are dealing with.
We'll do one again before elections.
But got to the serious matter. So thank you very, very much again. And listeners, please do check out Qaanitah's work, the Debrief Network. I think there's going to be some fascinating insights on. Yes, it may be boring for many people out there, but it's absolutely critical. So this is the final episode in this initial local government election series. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.